Welcome to this short broadcast. Former Finance Minister Samuel Tweah is a keynote speaker here at the Benz Foundation Elementary and Junior High School commencement convocation here at the city of
This is the greatest introduction I've ever had in my life.
This is a school that he helped to renovate and rehabilitate as a neighbor here in Marshall.
How was when I delivered the national oration in 2018. I myself was embarrassed with my own introduction. But it was too long. And then it was also extemporaneous. So we have had some great extemporaneous speeches here today. The Foundation is developing linguists, orators, the valedictorian, the female speaker. We're seeing great signs of improvement. Thank you very much. Mr. Principal and teachers of the great Finance Foundation School, our wonderful parents and guardians. Let's give it up for our parents and guardians. Our illustrious, wonderful graduates. I hear this guy gets graduates. But together we have graduates. So you know that the standard is getting higher here at Finance Foundation. And we wonder why the students be calling graduates. Yeah. And today we're going to talk about standard. You know, members of the press. Mr. Todd, my dear former Deputy Minister of Public Works, my friend and brother who accompanied me here, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited to be here to deliver the keynote address on your first formal graduation. This is humongous. You know, I'm passionate about education. I'm nothing without education. That's why I'm passionate about education. I'm nothing without education. Zero. So I do not compromise standards in education. So I'm so excited to join you here as a family, as a school. I know as minister, you know, when I moved in the area, I took on, along with Senator Weah and others, contributors to help refurbish the school. We did a lot of work. I don't like to take accolade for those things because it comes to me like it's a responsibility. Yeah, when we do these things, we don't do it for credit. So I don't like people to mention, you know, what I did. Well, you know, I don't like that. But the idea is that we ought to do more as members of our community. You don't have to be in a government. Just as a member of a community, you live somewhere and you see a school next by, you have to take interest in what's going on there. We don't see that happening in our country. We need to change that. So Senator Weah and others who helped, along with me, all to make this school vibrant because this school was abandoned. To turn it where it is today, you have a wonderful story. You have to tell your story. Your first graduation class, you have to make it big to enlarge the story of this school in the larger national policy of our country. Yeah, so people can see what happened at Finance Foundation. What is the story there? Today I will really talk, I would like to say I want to spoil your party a little bit because there's a lot of joy and celebration going on. But we have to do some truth talking today. And I value my presence here because I want to share with you, but I particularly want to share with the country on some fundamental truths about education. And I think where the country is erring, this is not about politics, not government. I'm talking to us Liberians as a people. Not to the government, to us, all of you here. So the comments here today are going to be brutally honest about how we have lowered our lowering standards so our students can make progress. And all of those who are complicit in this act are not helping you. You did your best, you do at Finance Foundation, you did your best, you do at St. Teresa's Convent, all the schools in the country. The truth of the matter is that standards are low today than at any other time in the history of our country. In fact, as we continue to move forward, we are losing relative to the past in terms of education. That is concerning for the future of this country. And so I want to talk to you about that. But before that, I also want to celebrate Ben Foundation as a national example in a search for excellence amid financial difficulty. I don't think there's any school that has endured more financial challenge and difficulty than your school. You have teachers who remain unsalaried, unpaid for several months, and remain dedicated to your education. Let us stand in recognition of the outstanding contribution of these teachers to your life. Please. All of the teachers. Where are the teachers? Let's stand up and give them a round of applause, and we'll recognize and say that we respect. Thank you. Your teachers tell us that the job of a teacher, the molder of minds, the educator of people, it's not about salary, it's not about compensation. It's about the passion, the vocation to inspire students and a whole generation to hanker after a path of productivity. That's what a teacher is. That's who a teacher is. And your teachers have shown the world and the country this example. We owe them an enormous debt of gratitude. We can't pay them. The small change that we have had to contribute to pay them monthly is nothing compared to the sacrifices that they have made for you. We will have time to explore more ways to help in the school, reach out to more government officials, more private donors to elevate the school. Today, this is one of the biggest things that's happening in the school because the word is going to hear about Ben's Foundation. All of you passed the WAC exam, you're graduating. But they're going to hear your story of a struggle. Maybe that story is going to touch somebody out there who says, when the teachers are teaching somewhere and they're not being paid, and the students are doing well, and I just listen to speakers speaking extemporaneously in a school where teachers are not paid and they're delivering, I ought to contribute to that school. So if you're listening out there, this is where the Foundation needs your help. Because you can see the quality of the product that's happening and make the challenges. So we'll tell this story here today. So, with that being said, today we're going to talk about the path to our national transformation is not going to be achieved through lowering standards. That when we lower standards, we hinder the country's transformative drive. When we accommodate students, we hurt Liberia. So, all of the school principals across the country on the sound of my voice today, all the school administrators across the country, this is a message for them. We cannot continue to lower standards. Struggling schools like Ben Foundation, there's some people who argue, in the education field, if a school is struggling to such an extent that it does not have all that it takes, then maybe let's shut the school down. Then that will compromise the standard. So if you're arguing, challenging Mr. Tweah, if you're arguing for standard and this school is below a certain standard, then don't you think discontinue the school or move the students to better schools? I would say no. What do you want to do? Financial constraint is not a reason for closure or for shutting down. But it's even more reason enabled by the example that we see here to continue towards perfection. Constraint is not a reason to fail. It is a motivation to succeed. One of my friends who used to work with me at MCC, she said I was an economist at the National Millennium Compact Development. I used to work with Clar Weah. He wrote a wonderful article about the same theme I'm speaking of today, about how Liberians, we are shortchanging the potential of Liberia. So, serious thinkers, experts, some few people out there are worried about the quality of education in Liberia when they compare us to other countries, especially countries in the region. He said, and we can challenge the statistic. Maybe I can pick a boom with it, but I'm quoting him, so I didn't find that statistic. But he says, 88% of teachers in Liberian schools cannot pass the exam that they are administering. You hear that? 88% of the teachers are not able to pass the exams they are giving to the students. So according to his statistic, so even if you want to pick a boom with it, you bring it down and say 50% of the teachers can pass. That's still enormous. So we have 10,000 teachers teaching, 5,000 of them will fail the exam, the math, and the English, and the physics exam that they are imparting to the students. That is serious. That is the challenge. How do we deal with that challenge? How we in Liberia here? You know, when we talk about challenge, the first thing we see people run to is, oh, the finances are not there. So if we provide money, there will be a solution. That's not true. You know that. Money doesn't solve all the problems. So a lot of times in education, there are many countries where education outcomes are funded, and we still see challenges in the kingdom. So the financial challenge is there. Let's say that here, Liberia should achieve what we call the Maputo Declaration. That means that the government should spend around 20% of its budget to education. The World Education Forum saying all countries in Africa should try to achieve that. I believe we are around 14%. Sierra Leone, Gambia is around 17%. You know, Sierra Leone can fluctuate between 20 and 21%, sometimes you see 16%. So countries are struggling between 14-15% to go to 20% of the educational budget. So we recognize that challenge. But when we argue to the contrary that even though financial challenges are hurting countries, we see fundamental differences between Liberia and some of the other countries that are struggling. Those countries that are still struggling in Sierra Leone have higher standards. We who are struggling in Liberia have lower standards. Somebody say, oh, Liberia went to war, so we lost our standard. I would agree. But Sierra Leone also went to war. Many countries have gone to war, and their standard in education is higher than Liberia's standard. Why? I ask the question, why is that? So if we say we account for financial difficulties, why is it nationally we all are complicit? We are all moving toward an agreement that let's keep bringing the bar down. If the passing grade was 70, bring it to 60. 60, bring it to 50. From 50, go, bring it to 40. That's what's happening in the country. You think it's fair to Liberia? You think it's fair to you? Okay. So don't clap for the people who are doing it to you. Argue why is that? Why is there a difference between Gambia and Liberia in terms of standard? Even though we are all struggling, but they seem to be rigid in their math, in third grade students reading at a third grade level. Here we may have a situation where a ninth grade student is reading at a third grade level. And we seem to be okay with that. Principals are okay. The educators of the country are okay that a 12th grade student is reading at 6th grade or 5th grade level when you compare him to China, when you compare him to Germany or Ghana. That is a serious tragedy, monstrous tragedy in the country. So we should not lower the standards because of that. We say there's a tendency of, so we accept as Liberians to have lower standards, and we celebrate that. We celebrate mediocrity. So when something is outstanding, we're not too much for it. We want everybody to be average, everybody to be mediocre, less than average. Then we applaud that. We think that's a sign of progress. That's not a sign of progress. That's a sign of decay, national decay. So when we lower standards, what happens to the society? There are deleterious, harmful consequences when we lower standards in the country. We see students struggling who cannot pass a public exam. Or when they pass one public exam, there will be mass failure in the next public exam. You don't see that? All the students who pass the WASP, when they go to the early entrance, they say only 1,000 students pass out of 30 students, 1,000 students. Wow! I don't see that. So if all our students are passing WASP, then why all of them are not passing early entrance? It's not possible. It's the same mathematics. You do imaginary numbers, you know imaginary number, you know imaginary number. When you go to WASP, you go to early entrance, an imaginary number. You can know it. You know algebra, you know geometry, it's the same thing. You know language, you can read and comprehend complex sentence structures on the WASP, you can do the same thing on the A. So why do we see a disparity in our exam? So that should claim the attention of our public educators and our government and our parents and our communities and our society as a whole. There's something wrong. So even at early entrance, we still are accommodating. That's a serious problem. So everybody, every teacher, every instructor is lowering grade. One of my friends gave me English papers to correct at the university. I corrected the papers, he said I can take a grade. So he took, I think, half of my grade. He just split it how himself. When you get 40, yeah, I will have to improve it. So he added half of the points to make people pass. So I said, but these students are, he said, my brother, what's happening in the country now is that high school, college education has become a top-man high. The first 2 years in college is like top-man high before the war. What do you call it? In fact, top-man high before the war, when he's arguing, and St. Patrick's before the war, and St. Teresa Convent were stronger than many colleges are doing now. That's how the standards are going. So basically, they're doing high school stuff. Students can do subject verb agreement. Whole passages are written, no subject verb agreeing. In high school before the war, people knew the subject verb agreement. They mastered that. But the country has accepted that a college student should not know the subject verb agreement. Now we speak in a certain way that is not correct, and we should accept that. And when you start taking attitudes toward perfect English, they say you know more, and you want to prove that you're exceptional, so you are. So the speeches that were delivered here today by the valedictorian, it is not only through a graduation that the valedictorian should speak perfect English and speak oratorically. We should try to speak even in a market setting where our market women, our women will understand the English and they will replicate it as distinct demands. So the Liberian English that we speak, the standard English that we speak today, is way below the standard English that was spoken like 1950, 1960, 1970. President William R. Tolbert, if he spoke to you today, I don't think everybody will understand the speech. So if President Tolbert was speaking today, the country will not understand it. That's a problem. Somebody sent me a video of the cabinet meeting in the Tolbert administration and said they showed the people were Liberians. He said, that's so great, right? That's Liberian government. So we are accommodating failure, we are accommodating mediocrity. So when we come to speak publicly, we always say, well, man, don't speak too hard, bring the thing down for the people. Well, if we successfully continue to bring it down for generation to generation, we'll soon start going below zero. At what point do we stop and say, no, we can't bring it down? If people can understand it, if people can pass, let them say, let's stop. The bulk got to stop with our generation. Is your generation going to stop that bulk? Yes! Parents are negotiating for the students to pass. Everybody, all schools, everybody wants graduation ceremonies. The fanfare, the pomp, the pageantry, the riding on the vehicle, the colorful gowns, the regalia, all of that good. They are symbolic of success. But they are symbols. The actual success is not the showing off in that pageantry. The actual success is the student's ability to understand rudimentary English, basic standard English, and construct sentences and make sense and do basic mathematics. That is the minimum standard. If they're not able to do that, all that flourishing out there is buffoon. Like you say, it's not taking us anywhere as a country. Because you have college students who can write. You have college students who want to enter government jobs, but they don't even know how to write a letter. And so we hire them, then we find somebody else who will work for them. That's the society we're making. We're giving people jobs who are getting the money, and we're depending on other people who are also getting money for some other thing to do the job. So we're accommodating everybody. The country moving towards colossal failure, successful failure, and we get back each other. This thing is going to explode people sometime if we don't stop it. It's going to explode. The society is going to explode. Because very soon, we say we want jobs. Bill Gates can put a factory here and say, we want to have manufacturing cars, and then they do a test. They say, when the person have certain numeracy, math skills, minimum technology to do it, they come and say, oh, look, we know this they can't make it, so we got to move to Ghana. Then you will start telling yourself, oh, well, how come we all are college graduates and people say we can't pass the exam? But who been fooling us then? You go to the universities in the country, you go fight them? No, that's who we are. There was a time I was a consultant at the Ministry of Finance, and Money told me one, he said, people were looking for certain level of accountants in the country. He said, Sam, we can't believe it. The firm is looking at giving full tests and nobody can pass. I said, it's not true, Money. He said, Sam, I'm telling you. Get a result, the guy said, yeah, they came there, I've met them several times, they're doing everything, and they said, look for certain quality, and people are not passing. So they'll bring some of the people from Ghana. That's a real life thing, it's happening. So, some of you will be going to study accounting, some of you will be going to study economics,
Sure.
you'll be studying physics, all of that at university. You want to make sure that when you come out of university, after this lecture, and you're not going to cut corners, you're not going to compromise the standards of the country.
Yes.
Because it's not you are compromising, you're compromising the society as a whole. You can have your personal gratification and success, but society is failing as a whole because we are producing uneducated people and calling them educated. That's the tragedy of the country. So, we now have lower standards, so the question will be, okay, Mr. Tweah, how do we turn the corner? We know the problem. What is the solution? My thing to you is that Liberia is a great place. We know Liberia. If I ask all of you about Liberia now, you will say only negative things. Whether you will say the negative thing under President Weah, whether you will say the negative thing under President Waka, you will say the negative thing under President Salih. So we know best how to demonize and destroy our country. And in fact, this very speech I'm making is a negative speech because it's a real speech. It's a reality about lower standard, but it's negative also, right? So we are used to describing our country negatively. My thing to you is that while we know we are negative usually, this country has had wonderful successes. And I think the greatest success, if I ask you what is the greatest success that this country has had, none of you, I believe, will answer that question. Maybe somebody may surprise me and know the answer. But I will wager that you will not know the answer because the success you'll be talking about, you'll be thinking, say, it's a breach. No, those things are not material. So I'm not talking success in terms of physical building. No. The greatest successes we've had is not due to any president. It's not due to Tokyo, it's not due to Toba, it's not due to Do, not due to Sali, not due to Weah, not due to Waka. So the success I'm talking about is due to only one group. You, all of you here, or Liberians. You own that success I'm about to talk about. I'm arguing if we can have that success, if we collectively, without anybody, if our collective consciousness can achieve the success I'm about to describe, then it means there is no problem that cannot be solved here like this. So you remember I said, what is success he's talking about? What success? Let me tell you. This country has solved the problem that is bothering most countries in the world, where one man wants to decide under his whims, his feelings, his likes, the affairs of the country, and if the rest of the people don't like it, they can go to hell. That problem is called autocracy. So we have solved the problem of autocracy. The rule of will by a president who will say, I will have this share of the country money when you go to hell. I will jail political prisoners. If you criticize me, you will go to jail. You should not criticize a king. I should be loved by all of you. Our history, 177 years, is a history of dealing with autocracy and tyranny. We struggle with fear, where the political critic is afraid that if he criticizes a president, somebody will come after him. Some of us lived in the ages who lived with fear. When you thought you look over your shoulder, I can tell you today, no Liberian is afraid to criticize the president. All Liberians, most Liberians were afraid to criticize presidents in the 80s, in the 90s, I mean, in the 80s, in the 70s, in the 60s, right? You would not say anything about the president. Oh, go country. You can't talk about the president like that. So under that kind of imperial autocratic structure, we're under the wing of one man called the president. Today we're not under that wing. No president has control over the people in the way that they have had. That success to remove the wings of a president. Now, presidents have power, but they don't have the wings that they had before. No president, for example, can run more than 2 terms in this country. There are some countries in the world today, in Africa, where the president is changing the constitution to run what? That can never ever happen in Liberia. Why? Why it happens in other countries, but it cannot happen here. So you must stand up and say, in a society where the president can change the constitution and the country remain quiet and they go to election for 4 times, and I'm in a country where no president can happen, I have to be proud as Liberian. Give yourself an applause as Liberian. You are equal to American democracy in that sense. That every 2 years, every 4 years, every 2 terms, American, every 4 years go to election, term limit is 2 terms in America. Same thing here. No president can go beyond 2 terms. No president can change the constitution and say, I will run for a 3rd term. I don't care how he is loved by 200% of the country. It is not possible. So why is it not possible? Why is it possible in other countries? It's not possible in Liberia. It's because the collective determination of Liberian people have made it so. How have Liberians made so? So that's why, because we went to war and 250,000 people died. I tell you, Rwanda went to war, 800,000 people died, and the government is the president for life. So there's a fundamental difference. So war doesn't explain that. Because Liberia, like Kigami, like Rwanda, went to war and people died in genocide. There was genocide here, 250,000 people died. Same number died. But why is it that only one president can be in Rwanda? And the Rwanda people have accepted that. So you are superior.